Yes, indeed. Has your dog stolen your makeup as we speak? Have you ever been entertained by your pet acting like a person or thought that your cat behaved more like a dog than a cat? Well, it's all got to do with animal behavior. And to explain a bit more about what that entails, we've invited Carolyn van Renen, an animal behaviorist, to join us in studio today. I'm so keen to get into the job that you do. Carolyn, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's a little bit nervous about having to go through all of the facts, but you obviously know a huge amount in this field, being very successful at what you do. But I have to ask from a complete kind of a person who has an inkling, but I really don't know what comes into your job. What is an animal behaviorist? What do you do?
As an applied animal behaviorist, one does an in-depth assessment and consultation of a patient because we are presented with a problem dog.
Yeah.
We do an in-depth assessment to analyze whether it's a normal, abnormal, or unacceptable behavior on a continuum of behavioral scale. Once an in-depth assessment is actually approached or actually done, a diagnosis and a prognosis can be given. That's when the games begin.
That's the real work that you do, and I think it keeps coming out in all the work that we do that it's generally the person that needs to change, not necessarily the pet.
Correct.
But I would imagine there is a difference in approach. You deal primarily with cats, with dogs, and with horses.
Yes.
Is there one common thread? Do you approach it in the same way, or do you have to be quite different when approaching the different species?
In general, there are 5 approaches to any animal behavior, which would be either ethological approach, which is an inherited behavior. You would have an environmental, instrumental approach, which is an acquired behavior. Physiological approach, developmental approach, and then a social approach. Now, dealing with canine, feline, and equine, you will apply the same approaches, but species-specific.
Okay. And obviously, I'm sure there's a huge amount of intuition involved.
Lots of practice.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Do you ever walk into a situation and realize, okay, I know this dog, I know this horse, I know what's going on here? Do you feel that you've got that, something that separates you from a normal person when it comes to dealing with animals?
You develop that over time. It comes with lots of theory and lots of practice. And one must remember that it is extremely species-specific, and no 2 cases are ever alike.
It must be so interesting, the job. You must come across the most amazing creatures, human and otherwise. We'd love to take your calls right now. Do you have any questions relating to your domestic animal? Are they behaving in a strange way? Is your dog squawking? Is your cat barking? No, we'd love to know. And I know it can weigh in on a personal level. It can really affect us. So we'd love to hear from you. 021 430 9881. While we've got Carolyn here, please give us a call.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Luke, we love you. Tears, we love you. It breaks my heart to go there, but to see the work that they do, the lengths that they go to rehabilitate animals, absolutely amazing. Congrats, guys. And Imogen, you beautiful thing. So glad you found yourself a home. So speaking of homes and the pets that live in them, we've got Carolyn, an animal behaviorist here in studio. We'd love to hear from you. 021 430 9881. Now, with the advent of social media, I think we see every day videos, images of pets, of dogs, cats behaving like humans. Is this learned behavior? Are they copying us, or is it just we apply a human kind of association to it and they're just doing what they do? It's just a coincidence.
With animal behavior, dogs and cats, they can adapt or exhibit a social human behavior. They mimic. What is very common in pets is allele-mimetic behavior. Now, that is a mimic behavior, which you will see then a dog mimicking a cat or a dog mimicking his owner. Dogs can open cupboards, cats can walk on their hind legs. But there's also 2 conditionings. You get classical conditioning and you get operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is basically, it's an instinctive reaction to stimuli. For instance, if you're going to open a can of food, it's going to cause salivation, and then they are treated with a yummy food, so they can associate. So then they will mimic that behavior continuously. If it's operant conditioning, that's when an animal actually learns through trial and error. So he learns, this works for me. If I do this, I stand on my hind legs, I'm going to get treated. So it's trial and error basis.
And I would imagine that's often where the human then comes into play when you're treating situations or animals that are behaving in a way that's not acceptable. It's what role humans play in that mix. I'm sorry, that's just uncalled for. That's uncalled for. Whoever put that picture.
Totally distracting.
The Windsor. I'm going to ask you this question because it's something we love to put human personalities in our pets because that's the way that we kind of contextualize our lives. Do you believe that animals are self-aware? From your experience, do you find that the pets and the animals that you deal with are self-aware? Do they have a kind of consciousness around their situation?
That's a very tricky question, and I have been asked this on numerous occasions. And what I would actually say is the ability for an animal to remember a behavior that was learnt in the past is not exactly the same as them learning
understanding it
from the past. For instance, you go home and your dog has trashed the garbage bin. You go home, you see a little doggy in the corner, ears back, tail tucked in, submissive behavior. What do we think as humans? My dog knows he's guilty.
Yeah.
Not always the case. What would usually be is a dog doesn't have a spoken language but a body language. So they will remember or know that they are going to be punished. Not necessarily that they have actually done wrong during the day.
Oh, that's a massive lesson, massive. I'm going to get onto that because I've got a similar issue. But we've got Given on the line from Soweto. Given, a very good morning. How are you doing?
Hi, Graham.
Given, what is your question or your comment for Carolyn?
All right, Graham, I've got a question for the animal behaviorist. Hi, lady.
Hi, Carolyn. She's saying hi.
Sorry,
hi, Given.
Yes, my question is once watching at another. I was trained walking. Suddenly, the shoot.
Oh, we're losing you. Sorry, do you mind starting from the beginning again? Just repeat the question. Sorry, we're losing you there.
Yes, I was trained walking with a friend.
Okay.
And then suddenly, this huge horse started running towards me and my friend and surrounded me. And remember, it was a whole lot of people there, but they just came specifically to me and my friend, so I just froze.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay, well, from what I'm picking up, Given, sorry, you got a really bad line, but it sounds like while walking with a friend, they were surrounded by 4 horses and obviously didn't know what to do in that instance. Why would horses react to humans in that way? What would they be doing and how should you react if a horse is being aggressive with you? Because they are incredibly powerful beings.
Were they being aggressive or was it just
it sounds like she was just walking and she sounds like a sweet soul, so I'm hoping you weren't being horrible to the animals.
One must remember with horses, with equine, they have a herding flock behavior. And through domestication, horses actually approached humans. You know, so yes, we use them for social, for recreational purposes now. So it could have just meant that they were actually following the herd.
They were herding. Hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
If added to that, if a horse is aggressive to you, how should you act? What should you do?
There are the reasons for the aggressive behavior. You know, if we're speaking about agonistic behavior, there are so many different, it's a multifaceted component or topic. What would be causing the aggression? What are we as humans doing to provoke the aggression? Is it going to be a reactive aggression? So to answer that, one would actually have to assess.
Don't be an idiot, is what you're saying. Don't be an idiot. I love that. 021 430 9881. We'd love to hear from you, Given. Thank you so much for the question.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh man, well that I think is a singular behaviour right there. But we've got Carolyn, our animal behaviourist here, it's been such an interesting chat. Thank you so much. You have an incredible and a broad knowledge base around, in particular, domestic animals and those behaviours. I think probably the most alarming behaviour you'll come across, especially when it concerns your dogs, big dogs, where there is potentially the opportunity for injury, it's aggression. Where does aggression in particular, and maybe it stems to cats as well, but where does aggression in a domestic case often come from? What should we do in that case?
Aggression or an agonistic behavior is an extremely multifaceted topic. In all my years of dealings with animals, I'm going to speak of dogs now. I've had one aggression case, which was an idiopathic aggression. Now, that is when aggression is unclear. A dog will bite for no apparent reason. There's no threat In that case, there's an extreme problem, and euthanasia
Deep-seated,
is probably going to be the only option. But aggression, most of the time, is definitely there's a trigger. An aggression or agonistic behavior is not only a offensive a reaction, it's most of the time a defensive reaction. Now, aggression doesn't necessarily have to be biting. It could be negotiation, which dogs do. It could be capitulation, surrender. I surrender to you. Submission. You even get camouflage and hiding. What happens, though, with most aggression cases that you deal with, one must also consider physiology. There could be a degenerative condition. For instance, catalysts, a cataract over the eyes. You approach the dog from the side, he doesn't even know anymore that someone's coming, and it's a fight or flight. He bites. So when an aggressive case is presented to an animal behaviorist, one has to do an in-depth
That's probably
assessment.
the most. I know you've written a lot of papers on that as well.
Yes, completely. You have to take the dog to be tested, at the vet to see if there's physical firstly, and then what are the humans doing to actually trigger it.
So we've got Priscilla on the line. Thank you for that. Very, very interesting. Priscilla, you're now joining us from the Mother City, from Cape Town. A very good morning. How are you doing?
Morning, Graham. I'm well, and you?
Very good. Do you have a comment or a question for Carolyn?
Yes, please, Karen. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hello, fine, thank you. And yourself?
Fine, thanks. My dog, I have a German Shepherd. And what is happening is he barks all the time. He barks at the flies. He barks at the trees when the wind blows. He's barking at the leaves when the leaves move. And I'm afraid that our neighbors are going to complain.
Okay.
We are a community of dog lovers. But I just want to know, is there something that we can do to stop him barking?
Okay, Priscilla, very good question. I think a lot of people can relate to that, and it impacts our lives, certainly when it starts impacting on other people's lives, like our neighbors. What could be triggering that? Is it just the best guard dog in the world?
Okay, barking at the leaves and the trees, I don't know, maybe they are bugging him. When it comes to barking or excessive behavior, again, in this instance, I would see the patient and I would have to analyze firstly it would be the sex. Is the dog intact or unsterilized, or sterilized or unsterilized? Then breed specific, German Shepherd. They are working dogs. So environmental influences would come into being. They are working dogs, so yes, they need to be exercised, they need to be worked. Once there is boredom or any frustration, they are going to redirect it into barking at the trees or barking at the neighbor's cat. So it will depend on the environmental influences.
It's never a simple answer, but that could be a good starting off point. If you've got a big breed, a working dog, something like a German Shepherd that needs to feel fulfilled, you've got to take it out there, exercise it, let it get that fulfillment, and that might be one of the key factors. But I think it just seems so complex, which I absolutely love. Please, if you've got any questions, 021 430 9881. We've got Carolyn here just for a short time only, so if you do have those questions, keep them coming.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
The stage is yours indeed. In fact, the stage is Carolyn's. This morning we've got an animal behaviorist in here who has really enlightened me in so many ways. I think a big question jumping out for me is, are all animals trainable? For instance, can you train a cat? And I'm speaking to Zoe here, whose cat dog behaves like a dog, not a cat. But can you train a cat, or can you train a horse? Can you train any animal for that matter?
Okay,
domestic, I'm saying.
Yes, domestic animals. Training to me is you can train an animal of any age or species, yet you cannot socialize an animal at any age.
So like that key developmental thing.
Yes. Training of cats. Let's speak about a feline, a cat. The difference with a cat and a dog, for instance, a dog is more of they are pack. That's what makes them tick. They pack. Dogs are people pleasers, whereas a cat is an individualistic species. So they like to please themselves, not particularly the people. And when I work with cats, I always try to inform my clients about the 3 R's. When you're working with a cat, you have to always remember that it's respect, reinforcement, and reward.
Okay. I absolutely love that. The same applies to us on set here this morning. We've got Maria on the line from Cape Town, I think. Very good morning, Maria. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, and you?
Very good, thanks. What's your comment or your question for Carolyn?
Yes, I've got this little doggy that we rescued at the age of about 1.
Okay.
We've had him for 10 years. We love him so much, you know, he's our baby. But he has a very strange behavior. Every time he's in the bedroom with me, say I'm relaxing reading, he's in his little bed and he's quite comfortable, quiet. And then somebody of the family walks in, like my husband. He will growl immediately. Get out, Daddy, get out. I'm with Mommy now. You know, growl at him. And then I have to calm him down, and then he'll settle down eventually. Not that he wants to bite him, but he wants to just be with me. Then say I go out, and then he stays with Candace. My daughter's a student. She's in a studio painting, and he'll be in his bed with her and happy. Then I come back, and I enter the room. He growls at me. Whoa, whoa, get out, growl, 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 get out. Highly aggressive. Funny, but highly aggressive. And I've got to, you know, calm him down again, he'll be fine. And he does this, he protects whoever he's with.
I love that. Thank you for the very colourful narrative as well. You're a superstar. Really awesome story, but getting to the heart of it. And I think when dealing with rescue animals, and well done for taking in a rescue, there's obviously during those key developmental stages of their life, that's when so much of the bad behaviour can get laid in. What could be happening in this case?
With rescue animals, a lot of their learned behaviour and problematic behaviour does come because of the environmental influences that they had, which was not positive. That's why problem behaviour. But this little doggy sounds to be, firstly, the dog is old, and territorial aggression is very common. He's being territorial over whatever person he's with. And also due to his age, I would say they would also should have him checked at a vet, because he also could be showing signs of you know, is he perhaps his hearing is so not...
He's getting surprised or something is kind of pushing that button.
And he sounds more of a territorial... Little dogs are extremely... I mean, they think they're Rottweilers. So it's not uncommon.
The bottom line is you can teach an old dog new tricks. You really can. And I think it just becomes about being conscious of the situation. Take a step back. Don't be overly emotional about it. Seek the help of a professional. And there are some amazing professionals like Carolyn out there. You're a superstar. Thank you so much. You really have expanded my knowledge base. Hopefully you guys at home, this has answered some of your questions or at least helped you in the right direction. Thank you so much to our callers as well. Some brilliant comments and questions coming through.